All right, so people, since we are switching over from calculus to discrete math, I chose logic as our first stop. Since they're all kind of separate ideas, it doesn't really matter which one we do first, and I like logic, so try this stuff out. It's pretty cool. It'll help you do better arguments. Once we get to the end, or I'll give you a good way to break up with someone using logic. Make the breakup easier. So good stuff here. So first of all, if we're going to talk about logic, we need to talk about statements. And write this stuff down. A statement is a sentence that has a truth value. That means it is either true or false. It doesn't mean it has to be true. So there's certain things that aren't statements, and there's certain things that are. So it is either true or false. Okay, for instance, let's look at these and try to decide if it's a statement or not. So the first thing, some marbles are glass. Is that a statement? Is it either true or false? Now, if you don't know a lot about marbles, maybe you don't know, but you could probably prove it pretty quickly. So that one is yes, it's either true or false. I want to say it's true. I've seen a glass marble. How about this? That one right there. Eat that pudding. Is that a statement? Is it true or false? It's a big old nope. That is actually called a directive. When you tell someone to do something, you're giving a directive. That is, although I like pudding, that is not a statement. I like pudding as a statement. It's either true or false, and it's true. How about this one? Here's another one. Who are your parents? Is that a statement? Is it true or false? It's a big old nope. And that's because it's a question. Remember, you could have opinions. They're either true or false. And then, how about one more? All grass is green. Okay, is that a statement? Is it either true or false? And that's a big old yep. So we got a couple of them that are true or false. This one's false. I mean, I've seen brown grass in the summertime, so not all grass is green. If you're from Kentucky, you have bluegrass, whatever that is. So anyway, those are that's the first part. Like, whether or not it can be a statement is the first thing you got to figure out. Does it have a truth value? Doesn't mean it has to be true. The second thing is, once you decide, we got a couple ground rules. These are like extra rules. So you're going to see in this section, math and English kind of cross paths, and it's pretty cool because we have to use logic in our lives. So 2 rules there is, or laws. There is the Law of Excluded Middle. And what that says is a statement is either true or false, but it can't be in the middle. There's like no gray area. Statement is either true or false. It can't be in the middle. So it's kind of like when I used to work at Kroger, and I'd asked if people wanted paper or plastic bags, and they didn't answer me. I just threw their food on the ground and walked off. It's not really true, but you got to pick one. So you can't be true. You can't say or. You talk to those people. They're kind of annoying if you give them an or question, they say or. Okay, so that's one rule. Most people know that, but you can't be between true and false. You're either true or false. So that's law of excluded middle. There's another one, the law of contradiction. The law of contradiction says that no statement can be true and false at the same time. Okay, and you've run into this before, I bet, if you've ever seen this statement. This statement is false. So this is an example of a contradiction, because if this statement is false, then what it says, and you believe it, if you say that's a true statement, then what it says must be true, and it says it's false. So when you believe it's true, it results in a false. Okay, so let's do the opposite. You say, okay, that statement must be false then, because it can't be true. So if it's false, then whatever it says is false, and it says it's false, which means it's true. So when you assume false, it results in true. You can't be both at the same time, so this gives you a headache. Or it's kind of like that thing with opposite day, right? If you've ever talked to anyone about opposite day, I have children, they talk about opposite day, and it gets kind of annoying after a while. So then you get in a weird circular logic about you can't even say it's opposite day, or then it's the opposite. Anyway, so those are the two laws. You know it because if you hear someone trying to do either one of those, it's annoying to you and it's cheating. So, all right. So the only other thing we're going to do today is talk about the three different types of statements. So let's get a new piece here. Okay, and since we know a statement is a sentence that's either true or false, every statement fits into one of these three categories. You have a statement, it's either universal, existential, or particular. So a universal statement is a statement where all things of a certain kind satisfy some condition. Or, to put an example in, you could say something like all grass is green. Or no yaks tap dance. Probably is false, because I would love to see a yak tap dance. But you're saying something about everything. Even though it says no, you're saying basically all yaks do not tap dance when you say no yaks tap dance. So you're making a statement about everything, right? It's called a universal statement because you're kind of including every item in that certain type. Okay, so that's universal. Existential is kind of the other type, and that is the existence. This is why it's called existential. It's a statement where the existence of at least one thing that satisfies some condition. Okay, so an existential statement would be something like, there is a goat on the roof. Okay, I'm really saying there exists a goat that is on the roof. So you could also say some people hate tomatoes. It's a weird thing to stake your claim on there, but when you say some, it actually means that there's at least one. Okay, so some people, you could say You could even say some people do not hate tomatoes, and it's actually an existential statement also. Because when you say some people don't, you're also saying some people do. Or you're saying there is at least one who fits that condition. So yeah, maybe write that down. Some means at least one. Because you see that word a lot. Alright, one more type. Okay, so this last type of statement is a particular statement. And a particular statement has properties of specifically designated things. Not the best definition. None of these are great definitions. It's just easier if you just do a few and you get it. Like if I said, today is my birthday. You know, that's either true or false. It sort of depends what day I say that on. But my is kind of particular information, and so is today. So this one's like doubly particular. Or you could say, Bob is rude to his server. Okay, so that's pretty particular because you're talking about Bob and his specific or particular attitude toward his server. Bob is a real Karen. So these are the three types of statements. So just to recap, statements are a sentence that is either true or false, and we already know you can't cheat and say you're like between true and false, and you can't say it's both true and false. And then every statement has to fit into one of these three categories. It's either universal, where you talk about everything or nothing. Existential, which is more like the word some, and it just means there's at least one that satisfies the condition, like there's a goat on the roof, some people hate tomatoes. And then particular is kind of the other ones. Today is my birthday, Bob is rude to his server. So it's kind of like more specific, where you don't talk about some or all. You talk about just a specific person or, yeah. So that should wrap up the first part, just an idea on statements, and it's very wordy and seems like English class for a little bit, but I promise you it's math, because we're going to get into some other type of stuff like truth tables, which is really fun. I like this logic stuff. It's pretty neat. All right. So hope that helps. We'll have a separate notes one for tomorrow. Just let this soak in for a day.